Welcome. Happy Monday. What's the date? Today is Monday, May 13th, and we are about halfway through the month. Craziness. I'm really, really excited about tonight's team call because it's something that I feel like has been like the turning point um, of my business. But also it's something that I'm really, really trying to constantly improve and lean into because our story is what connects us to our tribe. It's what I feel like is part of is a part of the invite. Us sharing our story with others is how we, I feel like, go from being people that fight so hard month after month to help 3 to 5 people at least. You know what I mean? I feel like if you are sharing your story organically on your feed, in your stories every single day, that is what's going to make the big difference on the back end in your DMs. So that's something, a shift that I've noticed. It's something that I got away from, and now I'm finding my way back to it right now. So I really want to share this with you guys. For those of you who are newer, for those of you who may feel in the same boat, maybe you got caught up in the comparison game, or as we all do from time to time again, but the great thing is, no one can take away your story. No one can take away the parts of you that make you, you. And all you have to do is put your blinders on and get back to that. And that's what's going to, make the shift. All right. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So finding your tribe through your story. So, this little bar here. Hold on. Sorry, I'm scroll bar. Okay, so everybody can see this? Okay. Cool. I'm going to put it in present mode. All right, so you guys, like I said, this is so, so important because I feel like we all, especially in the beginning as a new coach, or even now, there's times where I feel like when I get caught up where I don't know what to share. I feel like when you are especially pushing for really big goals, or you've got a lot going on, you let all the noise come in and it distracts you from what it actually is that you need to be sharing, what you need to be doing. They say all the time, this business is simple. It's not easy, but it's simple, and it is, but we overcomplicate it so much with themes, or comparing ourselves with what other so and so is sharing, or what her style is and what her voice is. And it's like that's why they say put your blinders on, because you just need to share you authentically, because that's what's going to bring the people to you that are like you. It's not going to bring the people to you that are going to be like Haley Christensen or Ashley Feldison. It's going to bring the people that are like you. Okay, so why are they going to sign up with you versus the other person? Because they're going to relate to you on a personal level. So why tell a story? Because this is a relationship business. This is not about our products. It really isn't. The reasons why people sign up with me, it's something that I always try to ask in my initial one-on-one call that I've been doing. I always ask them why they said yes. In my applications, I ask, how long have you been following me? What is it that, and they usually mention in there, what it was that drew them to my page. And it usually has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with fitness or with Shakeology or anything like that. It has to do with liking my hair, or they related to stuff I talked about work and nursing and things like that. It's never about the products, you guys. It's always about the relationship and the connective tissue. So people are attracted to your story, not the products. Okay, of course, it's we are products of the product, so we are going to highlight, or we're going to share those things because it's part of our daily life, but it is not the only part of our life. I'm going to get into this, but basically, you should be talking and sharing about your big 5 brands. Okay. Think of yourself as a brand, and you are made up of 5 different micro brands. And only one of them should be fitness, wellness, nutrition related. Everything else is all those other things about you that make you you. Okay. So I'm going to share with you guys like some examples, but basically that means that very little of what you're sharing on your feed and should really be no one should be able to basically see and tell that you are a coach from first glance of your feed. They can see that maybe you're an influencer of some sort, but they can't be like, oh, she's a Beachbody coach. No one can pick you out from a mile away because you're not sharing, Beachbody, you're sharing you. So really you got to ask yourself, like, how much of your story are you sharing? Are you sharing all of the things, or are you being really surface level? Because that's really kind of what we're going to get into, is the difference between surface level posting and like meaty posting, like actual value posting. And the other thing that I feel like so many new coaches, say to me, and something that I thought, again, is like, we think that we have to be like, we have to have the results. We have to, act like we're a full-time coach, or act like we're a super six, pretend like our life is perfect, even though it's not. Like, we have to fit some ideal image. You guys, that couldn't be further from the truth. That is only going to separate and push other people away by pretending like your life is something that it's not. There's a difference between sharing your mess and being authentic and putting like a positive spin on it, like how you're working through it, versus pretending like everything's perfect and kind of putting yourself almost like further, up on a pedestal in like something that's unattainable, right? Because we're all humans. Like, we're all humans. We all are busy. We all have messes going on, and it's important for us to share that, because that's how other people are going to be able to see themselves in our life, in our story. So your mess is honestly your message. It's your power. Like, for me now, being more of a full-time coach, I'm like less credible because I'm not working full-time as a nurse anymore. I'm not, really sharing my mess, that kind of mess, is so relatable to people, because so many, we all build this part-time. We all build this, or keep it that way forever, like that. We work this on the side and in pockets of time on, in conjunction with our full-time job or other things that we do. If you are a mom, if you're in school, if you are, you do work full-time, like, talk about that. That is something that you should be talking about. Like, that should be one of your brands. That is the fact of how you make that work. Okay. And sharing your story is what's going to add value. Sharing your, hard days, your good days, your wins, your failures, your, little quirks about you, like sharing bits and pieces about your story, things you struggle with, what you're overcoming, what you've overcome. All of that is what's adding value to those people who are following you. And that's what's going to create your tribe. That's what's going to create a following that you won't go away. That's only going to build and build and build, because people are going to want to watch your story. They're going to want to be a part of it. And so that's why it's so, so important. All right, so some examples. So many of you probably know her. She did a team call for us a few months back, but Sammy Glonick, okay? So her story, and this is just like literally the most recent snapshot of her feed, okay? So her story, you can tell, like, from her captions and what she shares, she's a pre-dentistry student or a former student that she was always struggling to like find her path. All right. She thought forever that all she wanted to do was be a dentist. And then throughout schooling, she lost her way, and really didn't know like what she was going to do. She was in tons and tons of debt. She started sharing her journey of trusting the process and started inspiring others along the way. She used her fitness in this, as an outlet, as a way to basically get herself out of this rut of really not feeling like in control of her own life. So she's no BS. She's very tough lovey. You can always count on her for motivation, for inspiration. She's very upfront about that. She talks about her story all the time of how she failed forward and how she overcomes anxiety and how she's learning to fall in love with the process and just learn to love herself. So she talks a lot about her personal struggles and story with anxiety and just like emotional eating. So her brands, she's a Nike lover. Like just scrolling through her feed, you can tell that she's like obsessed with Nike. So she plays that up a ton. She plays up her love of Nike. She's a dog mom, and she's also a really devoted girlfriend and loves her family. So she shares about being an aunt all the time. She shares about her boyfriend and how he's in school to be an optometrist. So she talks about that all the time and how her coaching supports him and helps him through his schooling. She talks about her sister. She talks about how coaching has done for her relationship with her family and with her parents and things like that. She is also, like I said, she's, talks about her struggle with going from, always wanting to be skinny and her obsession with calories and what she used to do with her MyFitnessPal and tracking calories and starving herself to focusing on strong and self-love and, loving, becoming strong in her body. She often shares clean and easy eats. So she really likes to keep it simple. And so she shares recipes. That's sort of like her MO. And then she talks about traveling and adventuring. So she is literally on her way to Greece right now. So she's sharing about that. She talks about how coaching has allowed her to be able to go on vacations with her boyfriend. She shares like them doing that, talking about the trips that we go on. So just from her feed, and scrolling, you can decipher like what she's about. What she's about, but nowhere on here, like, you see she's into fitness, but you can't tell that she's actually a coach, right? Like you don't see Beachbody on this page. All right. So I'm going to go on to the next example. Oops. Okay. So another one of my favorites, Katie Roser. I love her story. She's super, super authentic and honest about her story. She talks about how she was like a forever college student, constantly changing majors, didn't know what she wanted to do. She worked full-time as an office assistant. She just was struggling. She didn't know like what her purpose was, her passion was, and it like completely destroyed her confidence. She like just lacked self-confidence in every area of her life. So she talks a lot about how she talks about how hard it was for her to build this business, and the sacrifices she made to build this business while she was working full time because of how unhappy she was with where she was at, how she was so sick and tired of just not feeling in control of her life. And she talks a lot about how she just consistently shows up. She consistently does the work, and that how she uses that to inspire others to help them get stuck with whatever situation they're in. So she talks about her real life, her day-to-day life. Like, I love looking at, whenever I'm feeling like stuck, I go to Katie's page and she reminds me just how simple it is. You just need to talk about your life. Like, she's just so real life. She's real talk. She shows you how you don't need to be fancy or special. You don't need to have any special degree or certifications. Like, she's just an average normal girl and like who's achieving and creating the life she wants. So her brand, she's engaged, she's a bride-to-be, so she shares a lot about her fiance and their wedding plans and just like their life together. She's really into home decor and lifestyle posts because she just bought a house. They were house hunting. So she shares a lot of just like decorations and things like that. She's a fashion lover, so she's always tagging her brand. She's always sharing her finds when she goes shopping. She's coffee obsessed, so she's always, always, always highlighting coffee and talking about coffee. And she's also really into her family as well. So she's an auntie, and she's just super like family oriented and talks about how coaching is basically setting her up to be a stay-at-home mom and all those things that she wants down the line. And then my other favorite, Sydney. So Sydney Thompson, this is her recent, profile. snapshot. She's a 20-something, so she's super young. She was a young wife. She's an Air Force wife. She was a first-year teacher when she started coaching, who was also just struggling with balance. She's just struggled with not having any balance between her life and like her outside life, her teaching life and her outside life. She let teaching consume her in an unhealthy way. So she was looking for balance. She was looking for community and friendship. And she needed something that was going to help fill her cup, but also be realistic for her crazy schedule. So she went from being stuck and passionless to being free and being able to do and create the life that she wanted on her terms. So her brands are obviously, she's Air Force military wife, so she plays that up a lot. She talks about like the hardships with being a military wife and her relationship with her husband. She talks about what her life was like as a teacher. She talks about what her life is like now as a retired teacher. She talks about her dogs all the time. She's a dog mama, and now she's an expecting mom. So she's talking and playing up her pregnancy and how she, basically is, maintaining a fit pregnancy and what she's doing throughout that. And she's also really just carefree and fun. So she likes to just play up her personality of being really like outgoing and fun and like extroverted and, just kind of like, I don't give a shit kind of a personality. So she plays that up though. So just from her page, you can sort of like decipher that she is not just a Beachbody coach. She is all of these other things. And then I did myself. So this is something I've been thinking a lot about this over like the weekend, because I feel like I mentioned, like I kind of got away from really focusing on like who I am and what my brands are. So I'm newly married. I'm a 20-something. I'm a nurse, transitioning to a former nurse. I've always struggled with wanting to care for others, but I've always longed for something more, but I've always cared too much what other people think. So I really talk a lot about that. So I like to share my story of how I failed forward and how I'm overcoming the number, how I'm overcoming my anxiety of caring what other people think. And I'm learning to fall in love with the process and just really become my own boss, become my own, leader of my life. So I am a lineman wife, I'm a newlywed, and I'm a dog mom. So I like to talk about my life in those terms and respects. I talk about a lot of the skinny to strong because I really didn't have a typical transformation. Mine is very much mind body and very much, going from lean to more strong. So I talk about my struggle with body confidence all of the time. And something that's something I actually really need to hone in on more, is more like not just like the skinny to strong, but like the actual bit of my story of what it is I struggle with, which is the number, which I'm going to get into that in a second. But so I also love beer and wine. So I always am sharing, like when Nate and I go out, and my love of beverages. I'm very much into mindset and tough love. So I like to share a lot of like just my thoughts and processes of what I'm learning through personal development and kind of, share my feelings. I'm also talk a lot about nursing and dealing with nursing burnout. And I'm now going to be homeowner. So that's sort of like I'm transitioning into that brand, but I also talk a lot about just like, I live in a log cabin, I live in the country. So I kind of talk about or highlight those things in my post a little bit too. So those are sort of just some examples that I pulled of just what I mean by talking, like you have your story, but then you're pulling your brands out of that story. Okay. So what I mean by passive versus personal posting, because this is really where we can kind of get lost with our posts. So we all know that we need to sort of highlight and share kind of like our workouts, our Shakeology, and working on our coaching business. Like those are like I feel like so many times like we sign up as a coach and people immediately, they might be posting or already been posting regularly all along, and they might already be a natural storyteller, but then as soon as they become a coach, they think that these are all the only things that they can talk about. And that's not the case at all. Okay. So there's a way for us to share that we now encompass like these workouts, and we encompass our superfoods and stuff like that. But the way that we do that is we talk about why we do it. So why do I get up, or why am I pushing play on a workout? Why am I drinking these superfoods? I'm going to talk about my why, and I'm going to breadcrumb that in my posts. So if it's a fitness related post, I'm going to talk about, and it's about a workout, like I'm going to talk about how it strengthens my runs or my bike riding or hiking or the things I like to do, because that's part of my brand. I didn't come, I've always liked, I was fit, doing active before this. So it's like, I don't define these workouts as like all I do, but they help me be stronger for the other things that I like to do. So I like to talk about that. So it's also my mental outlet. It's my stress reliever. So I'm always talking about like the mental gains of like what working out consistently does for me. It's pouring into my cup. When I was working full time, I talked about this all the time, about how my morning workouts were me pouring into me before I went and just poured into others all day long. Feeling strong and confident in my body. I've always struggled with my body image. So I talk about that, about how, I'm becoming stronger. I'm becoming more confident in my body because I've been putting this time and effort into myself. And how I'm setting an example for my future children. So every time I'm talking about my body image issues and relating that back to my past, I'm talking about how it's setting me up for my future. All right. When I talk about working on my coaching business, I'm always highlighting what working my coaching business is doing for me. So like today I talked about how, this is basically like setting me up. Why I work my coaching business is because it's allowing me the freedom to be at home. I didn't have to worry about calling in this morning. God forbid if I, absolutely need to be at home, like I don't have to worry about calling in. You know what I mean? It gives me the freedom to pay off my debt. I paid off my credit. I talked a lot about paying off my credit card debt last year. I talked being at home with my dogs and later with our children, not having to worry about childcare, gives me an opportunity to travel. So talking about our cruise, talking about, our retreats, talking about all the trips. It gives me the opportunity to provide for my family. So I like to talk a lot about Nate's income and Nate providing, and how the stress that puts on our marriage, and just how I want to be able to provide, and how that's me. That's my personal desire. And how it's giving me community and friendships. Oh my gosh, that typo. Oh, shoot. It's giving me community and friendships that I didn't have before. So I like to talk about the community piece a lot. So it's not like I'm just talking about I'm working my coaching business. I'm breadcrumbing a piece of my story and tying in, relating that to me working my business. Okay. So it's never just like what you're doing, it's why you're doing it. So personal posting, it gives value. Okay. So again, like, why do you get up so early? So why did you get up so early this morning? Okay. Give some background of like why you got up and push play, before your 7 o'clock shift or your 12-hour shift. How do you motivate yourself? If you're someone that, maybe you've been struggling, you tend to work out after your work more. Like, how do you get motivated? Like, what are some tips of what do you do to get yourself in the mindset to work out after a long shift? What are your favorite workout clothes? So sharing the brands that you're wearing, sharing, do you use Fabletics? Do you like Kiava brand? Do you do do you wear Lululemon things? Like, I don't know. You can talk and share value and create that connective tissue by, sharing these little tidbits, giving insight, giving background of what you're doing. What Tupperware do you use when you meal prep? How do you organize your home gym? Favorite sweet tooth cures. So like I was sharing with Sammy's, she shares a lot of easy recipes, and her go-to that she shares all the time is she shares her little superfood bites as like a sweet tooth remedy, when it's that time of the month. So that's something she shares over and over and over again, and that's the thing, you guys. you need to be sharing your story repeatedly, because you're not ever sharing. People need to hear things like, what, 15 times or something ridiculous now before it actually like sinks in. And that's not even to mention the new people that are coming to your page. They don't know your story. So like, you need to own and figure out what your story is, and you need to keep telling it in new ways every single day. So, you know, other ideas, how do you stay focused when you're working from home? That's actually a really good one. So, you know, like keeping timers, you know, do you like have to go to a specific spot in your house, or do you like to go and leave the house to focus? Or, you know, like what's your, like, do you have like a little routine that you've created for yourself? Why do you love it? What do you not love about it? Or I don't even know. But you know what I mean? So, and what are your favorite PD reads and your sharing takeaways? So, who did this today? Alex did this today. You know, she did it like awesome. She related, an excerpt from Girl Stop Apologizing and how it resonated with her, and shared more insight into her story and why it connected with her. So we all read PD, we listen to PD. Like, it's not just about sharing a quote and like letting that's not going to speak, you know, to other people. That's not going to connect with other people on a deep level. What's going to connect with them is, how does that quote connect to you and your story? So this is sort of like, you know, just sort of in a deeper look at that, like how every post, you guys, it has the ability to be an invite, whether it's it doesn't have to be a direct call to action or a direct invite, but like how with every post you're breadcrumbing, which is basically setting you up for what you're sending in your invites in your DMs. So like this post over here, I remember this one's specifically because it's Nurses Week, and I was working, and I talked about how I used to feel in regards to my nursing career, how I used to feel like, all right, I got this piece of paper, I'm a nurse, like I'm only a nurse, and I let it define me. And basically I talked about how when I stopped letting, you know, being, you know, like feeling like that was the only thing that defined me, I opened myself up to opportunities to really dream and explore, and I'll give myself permission to pursue a passion, to pursue that, you know, burn in my belly. So that was basically an indirect invite to coaching, because I was sharing them my story and trying to give them permission to do the same. I hear when I was, same thing, when I met up with Leah, I talked about our sort of how we met in nursing connected us, but basically how that chapter of my life has led me to this opportunity, and how we're meant, you know, the universe is doing things on purpose. Like, it's not a mistake that like I met Leah, and it's not a mistake that, you know, my coach invited me, and it's not a mistake that I invited her. Like, I feel like it was meant to be. And so I kind of talked about that, and basically sort of implying like, all right, so don't ignore the signs, kind of a thing. So it was like in a direct invite. And then, you know, getting my hair cut and getting my hair done, like it was like a coaching breadcrumb, because I was able to pay for it because of my coaching paycheck. And I also talked about how just basically in general, like coaching has allowed me to be able to stay pretty for the last 2 years or whatever, because it's been that constant, you know, source of income for me. So I talk about that. And then, you know, obviously putting an offer in our house, like how basically we wouldn't be in this position if we weren't financially comfortable, and you know, just the fact that we did that milestone, and that I'm at this point in my life where I am home and we are able to take on this chaos together because of the work that we put in this last year. So again, another indirect, you know, coaching breadcrumb. And then again today, you know, being able to be at home with Mac, not having anywhere to be or have to call into, like that is sharing a part of me and my story, connecting it back to my brand, but also basically indirectly inviting others. Okay, so you guys, this is something I'm so passionate about, because you guys, our social media really is our storefront. And I feel like without a doubt, the difference between say 6 months ago to now is the fact that over those 6 months, it was like it finally clicked with me that what I was posting, like I was directly affecting how people were saying yes in my DMs. It was basically making it that much easier for me to invite, because what I was putting out there was matching what I was sending people behind the scenes. So like really you can't be boring. You can't be, like I said, you can't just be passive and put up passive posts and just talk about Beachbody and workouts and superfoods and stuff like that. You have to share value, right? You got to show your personality. Are you spunky? Then be spunky. Are you, not spunky and touchy-feely? Then be touchy-feely. Like you have to be you, because that is also going to be how, like, because if you're sassy and kind of like I am, like behind the scenes in the DMs, if I was not sassy-ish, kind of tough lovey or whatever, like in my posting here in there, if I didn't let that come out, then it wouldn't connect. And then people are going to go to my page and they're going to look at my storefront and they're going to be like, okay, no, I'm not going to sign up with you because, this doesn't mesh, right? Just the same thing, like you can't be inviting if you're not posting, or if you're not showing that you are working out, if you're not showing that you are showing up or working your business or things like that. You can't invite to those things if you aren't showing that you're doing the work, and showing that, that you're actually, you have something to invite to, or that you're getting results. So your caption and words got to match what you're saying in your DMs. So that's why we can give you scripts. I feel like scripts don't really work. They're a good outline, but you have to make it your own. You have to kind of use your verbiage, and you have to use like your tone, because that's how it's going to connect with your people. And remember that your mess is your message. I'll just say right now, like I know Leah does an amazing job at this, because she is so busy and she does have all of the things, and she does not pretend at all, to be perfect or have it all together. She literally shares her everyday journey and struggle and how she's moving through it. Even on the bad days, even on the hard days, like she shares that it's hard, but she shares what she's doing about it, or how she's working through it, or what her, what's helping her. And that's giving value to that other girl that's working full time and also in MP school, and showing her, yeah, actually, if she can do it, so can I. Because I don't really have an excuse. If she's just as busy and she's still making time for herself, maybe it's not, it's not about perfect, but she's showing up and she's able to make it work and still create, this side gig for herself and focus on her health and fitness. It's like she's shooting down, you guys, you're shooting down objections before people even say them to you in your DMs. So that's why it makes everything flow that much easier, that much faster, because you're already highlighting in their objections right in your posting. You're talking about your skepticism. You're talking about, how you overcome lack of time. You're talking about how you, get up early in the morning. You're talking about all those things. So, like I said, share your mess. What were your actual thoughts about the company before you started? Share that. Were you skeptical? Were you, that's how a lot of like my coaching stories start, is with where I was and what my mindset was around coaching before I started. Because that's what's going to connect me to the old Amy's, or to the Amy's that I'm trying to invite to. So did you think that at home workouts didn't work? Did you think you were going to hate them, or you're going to hate working out at home? Like, talk about that, talk to the person you once were and what she was feeling, right? All right. That's really all I got. So now that's what we have to do. That's how we basically just need to go out there, and we just need to share our story, and talk to our tribe. Keep trying to go look at, some other top coaches, post and copy it verbatim, or try and talk like they talk like you talk about your story, because your story is not like her, and you're not going to attract the business builders and the people that really are going to have your same work ethic, have your same drive, have your same, love this as much as you do, if you're trying to pretend like you're something that you're not. Okay, so that's all I got. Where'd you guys go? Stop share. Does anybody have any questions or any comments? No? Okay. All right, guys. Thank you very much. I love you all, and I hope that you guys got something out of this. It's probably a lot of it's stuff that you probably already know, but I know it's really good for me to just like have the refresher and the reminder to, and it's such a really great thing to just sort of write down, like, what are your brands? Like, who are you? Because like just even having those written down will really help you on the days that, because I know a lot of us, like, it's great to sort of like have a kind of general outline of what you want for your month. But as far as like your daily posts, I feel like I work way better on the fly, but it's really helpful for me to just kind of know, all right, what is really connects with my people? My people really love to hear when I talk about this and this and this and this, because that's what's most like, unique to me, right? So, if you haven't done that yet, I would highly recommend you go do that, and just have it for your own, whatever. Keep it up on a Post-it, and whenever you're feeling stuck, just kind of refer back to it. Okay? All right, guys. I hope you have a good night, and I'll see you later. Bye.